Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Wait. Are we talking about Super Mario World or Super Mario World? I'm confused here. Only the hammer can destroy a roadblock, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society destroys a roadblock with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, and then on Thursday, we're coming up with reasons why we're excited for the GameCube to be coming to NSO on Switch 2. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great.
Mark, let me ask you something.
Oh, please.
So you know that I was driving an old Chevy Aveo for a long time. It had no kind of Bluetooth connection. It had like a CD player, which now feels like something from a different era entirely. And so I didn't have any sort of like extra controls over like the radio or anything like that. It was all like on the console. Now, of course, I drive an electric vehicle. It's got controls for some of that stuff on the wheel itself. Which direction on the little like arrow skips forward, and which direction skips back?
Huh.
Is this an intuitive thing for you? Because the options are only up or down.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's different than how my car works. I am going to say up advances and down like restarts the track, or if you do it twice, we'll go back.
Okay, so how did you arrive at that? Like what is the logic there? It just feels right?
Just because like up feel like in an elevator, I don't know, forward going up a floor or something.
You're going from track 1 to track 2, just like you go from floor 1 to floor 2, so you go up. So that's not the way it is. Because I agree with you. That's how my brain intuits it.
Yeah.
It is in fact the opposite direction. And I think it's because it's imagining the music player and the tracks would just be like listed vertically.
Oh.
And the one on top would be number 1. So to skip to track 2, you'd push down.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's like, now I'm thinking back to like, my iPod Nano. And, if you were going to use the click wheel, you would go down, right? You'd be advancing down the track list.
You would go clockwise to go down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because like you're saying, you would go down the track list.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But like, I want to go from track 1 to track 2.
Yeah.
So the numbers need to go up.
The numbers need
to
go
up.
As
we positionally go down,
yes.
The numbers go up.
Yeah, I can see it both. To me, this feels like flight controls in a video game.
Yeah, sure.
Where it's like...
you have to imagine a stick in the back of someone's head.
I can see the logic for it, but it does. But I wish I had the option to invert it.
Right. And you normally play with inverted controls where like down is tilting up?
No, I play I want to play like it is not a real airplane.
I see.
Like if I push down, I want to go down.
You want to look down.
Yeah. And if I push up, I want to look up, I think. What about you? Are you
I'm an inverted, yeah.
Okay,
but I mean, I think that's also just like, that's sort of the default for dual stick like camera controls, right?
Yeah, I guess
that if you go down,
right.
that the camera like kind of
goes
up.
You're right.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it that way, but you are right. But that's the opposite of... No, I guess it's the same. My brain is breaking.
Yeah, it's best not to think about it, I find.
It's one of those things that it's just all about like the feel in your hand,
right?
Right?
Does it feel right?
Right.
And I do think there are some situations where like it doesn't work and I want it the other way.
Uh-huh.
But when that is the case, it feels more like a pointer control sort of thing to me.
Yeah, no, I totally see what you're saying. Do I love actual inverted controls? Should I be playing with inverted controls?
Yeah, and do you want to push down to skip tracks?
No, that I don't want to do.
That seems crazy,
that
right?
One, it makes me, I mean, like I said, I get it.
Yes.
But it would not, I would not intuit that.
It makes me think that the button should not be that way. That they should just turn it 90 degrees. So that I go left and right.
That's how the controls are in my car.
Yeah.
You can go left or right.
Because right is obviously skip forward. Left is obviously skip back.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. I guess I could just be thinking about it like reading too, like you go down to progress.
Right. No, I mean, like, I understand how
I
they came to the
understand it,
conclusion
yes.
that they came to.
It's not what my brain thinks is right.
Right.
So I'm working my way through that. If you'd like to help us work our way through things, you can head on over to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if you are supporting us at the 8-bit or the 16-bit levels, you get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries like NCS Arcade.
Yes, and in NCS Arcade, Patrick and I are playing games that, for the most part, we've never beaten before.
Yes.
And we just released an episode about the PlayStation 2 classic Okami. And for the month of
We
May...
played Okami HD.
Yeah, that's right.
On Switch, yep.
That's right. And for the month of May, we're going to be talking about the Game Boy Advance game Wario Land 4.
Yes, and that is going to be our final episode of this season of NCS Arcade. Then we're going to be moving on to something else, which we will announce at some point here. And also coming up, I believe sometime this week, we will likely record our listener feedback episode about Okami. So get your emails into us if you have thoughts or questions or observations or just memories of playing Okami. We will include those in our listener feedback episode, which is available for everyone to listen to on Patreon, whether you are supporting us with money or just for freezies by following us there. So get in on that. Mark, any preview? Oh, I guess we'll talk about Wario Land 4 in just a second. But Discord, if you are not already in the Discord, email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. Sorry.
Thinking about those music controls.
That's right. I was skipping back by accident. And we will send you an invitation. You can get in the Discord and you can have fun talking about Nintendo stuff with everyone there.
And play Pikmin Bloom.
Yes.
We have a real Pikmin Bloom community going on right now.
We do, yes. To the point where we have 3 different walking groups for the walking challenge.
The growth of that has been very fun to see.
Yes. Of course. Mark, we are coming up on our 866th episode.
Crazy.
Which means we need your questions for 866. 866, of course, being double 433. We're doing a whole episode of 433, which means we are not talking about anything related to Nintendo.
That's right. And so we need you to email your questions, any questions you have for us that aren't Nintendo related.
Yes.
And they may show up in that 866th episode, which is approaching faster than you might believe.
Right. Now, here's an operational question for you, Mark. Do we still open the episode with a Zelda 2 quote? Or not?
I think we do, because it's like you're invoking the meeting.
Sure.
We're invoking the podcast.
You're right. Yes.
And then when we get into the
you're
topics,
right. Yes.
Then at that point,
no more Nintendo.
No more
talk.
Nintendo, and then we will close it and we can talk about Nintendo for
for just like a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good because otherwise it's just life, or it's just a different podcast.
Right.
We have to establish that it is an episode of NCS.
Yeah.
Then actively stop talking about Nintendo.
Yep.
Makes sense. Email us, get those in as soon as you can. Thank you to everyone who has submitted them already.
I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
I think it's going to be a ton of fun. And yeah, we'll have good things to talk about. Also, if you want to hear Mark and I talk more about Nintendo stuff, you can check out the most recent episode of Video Games, a Comedy Show, which is another one of their Space Solace episodes, which is a drafting style exercise where we draft games on the Nintendo Switch.
Yes, that was a lot of fun. And we'll include a link to it in our show notes.
Yes, absolutely. It features a lot of previous guests on this show and fun people there. So check that all out. It was a good time. All right, Mark. And, I mentioned this in the Discord, but yeah, it truly was like a race to see if Mark or I would draft Emio the Smiling Man first.
Because it goes. It's just a matter of when.
You know it goes.
Yeah.
Does it go first pick?
I
thought about it.
You'll have to listen to find out.
All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. We have both been playing Wario Land 4.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Robot Patrick.
Robot Mark and Robot Patrick are podcasting. Probably best to not say too much about about it right now. I will say that I am because I continue to play about a chapter a day, maybe a little less, of Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones, also in the Game Boy Advance Nintendo Switch Online app. And I also started playing Super Mario Advance, which is Super Mario Brothers 2, of course. And I'm just sort of like living the GBA life right now, where I'm like this. I'm spending all of my game time within this single app on NSO.
That's fun. I've have a lot of fond memories of the GBA, but it was not around for very long.
No, yeah, real short. And you and I are both big like Nintendo DS heads, so like yeah, we just it does genuinely feel like a generation that I like kind of soft missed. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I owned like I was in to the GBA, but I played a lot of catch up with that
Yes.
system where because they were releasing like NES games on it like that I had never played before. So I was buying those. They had Link to the Past on there. Like I was
Right.
playing a lot of those ports on the GBA and not a ton of the new stuff. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's funny about like me mentioning Mario Advance here, Super Mario Advance here, is that like it straddles that line of like, is this new or is this just the third time they've released Super Mario Brothers
I
2?
have never played any of the advanced games.
We should address that at some point.
I should, yeah.
I mean, they're weird, and like their reputation for like being too chatty, and suffering from all the music being rearranged for Game Boy Advance, like that's all incredibly true, right? Like it's I think a bad way to play Super Mario Brothers 2. But so I had this game for Game Boy Advance, and I remember beating it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's just I'm conflating that with my childhood memory of beating the original Super Mario Brothers 2 a bunch of times. But I was genuinely surprised in playing Super Mario Advance at the third world boss. So in the original game, it goes Mauser, and then that snake guy,
Mm-hmm.
Triclide, and then another Mauser for World 3. But there is no other Mauser in World 3. There's a robotic Birdo.
Huh.
It's like a
Is it larger?
yes. It's
Oh.
larger and it's like a wind up mech thing, and it shoots larger eggs at you. And it can like jump up and like do a ground pound to like make you shake and then charge at you. It's like a complicated boss fight.
But it works the same way where you like you jump on an egg, lift it up, and
Right.
throw it back at it.
But because the eggs are huge, it takes your character longer to like lift them out of
Ah.
the air, which is
So what is the arena like? Is it
it.
larger or is it
Yeah, no,
is
it's
it like a Birdo arena? Because the boss
right.
arenas in Mario 2 are not very large. Like
No,
there's not
they're
a
usually single screen,
yeah.
or like sometimes they scroll a little bit. And this one scrolls like kind of a lot. It's maybe like 3 or 4 screens worth of like left and right traversal, and there are chains hanging from the ceiling because there's a lot of time where you just like need to get out of its way, and so like you grab onto a chain and climb up, to avoid getting run over by it. But I was just like I couldn't believe because I like Birdo. I think Birdo is a cool character, and Super Mario Brothers 2 is one of my like favorites, just in a weird kind of like nostalgic way. And I was just blown away that there was a robot version of this character
Yeah,
that
that's
I've
so
never seen
interesting.
before.
That's so interesting. And it doesn't really, if like you were saying, oh, I don't know if I had beat it on Game Boy Advance, but it wouldn't surprise me if you had because like now we take it for granted that we could play these games
Right.
like the retro games anytime we want basically, but there for the longest time that was not possible.
Right. I still have my original cart of Super Mario Advance.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
I never got rid of it or anything.
Yeah, I should play those cuz you were saying like they're not great ways to like it may be true that they're not great ways to play those games, but it would be like a different way to play them, like a different way to
Right.
experience it that I never have before.
Which was sort of what I was reveling in, that like, oh, this is different. And the game just has like its priorities are so different in that like it wants you to succeed. I feel like more than the original Super Mario Brothers 2 does, in that like heart pickups are like everywhere. So like
Oh.
where you just like pluck a plant and it's just a heart to like refill one of your health units. They're everywhere. Like you get them all the time. But the one way in which the game is like way harder, or at least I was having a harder time with, is that it pauses the action for like everything. So when you are like traversing, when the screen scrolls up, there's like a little pause for it to like scroll up. The which I maybe in the original
I think that's in the
too.
original as well.
So anyway, that's part of it. When you are when you gain a heart and become big, which I know is also what would happen in the other Game 2, there's like a little pause there. It's just there. It happens so much more frequently in this because you're collecting hearts more. When you encounter Birdo talks to you for a second just to be like,
weird.
"You're not gonna go any further." She sounds like season 1 Marge. But like there's a little pause for that, and I just feel like there are like tiny little pauses everywhere to the point where I was having a hard time just like doing the platforming because the game would keep like pausing for something to happen.
That's so interesting. How many advanced games are there?
4, and they're all on Nintendo Switch Online.
So
See if you can do it, Mark.
Advance is 2.
Yes.
Advance 2 is World.
Yes.
Advance 3.
I
don't know what that one is.
Yoshi's Island.
Oh, and then Super Mario Advance 4 is
Super
Mario 3.
3. Yes.
With
correct.
the e-reader levels on
With
NSO.
Yes, that's right. And all those
yeah,
e-reader
I do
levels
need to
are
play
in there.
these. How do you remember how is World different?
So I've only played World a little bit, and that was the one where I was most struck by like, oh, this is just a worse way to play this game. Although I don't think I've ever played the Yoshi's Island either, so like that may be even worse. Who knows?
Isn't it so? The first time that I played all the way through Yoshi's Island was when we had our Super Nintendo month, back in April of 2020. That is a game that I don't really hold any affinity for.
Sure, like we had fun.
Yeah,
but like it's just not like living in your heart.
Maybe because I didn't play it, as like a kid. But
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. Just interesting.
Well, maybe we'll revisit it for like a Mario Advance.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 5 years.
Oh my god. The other thing I wanted to say about Super Mario Advance is that it comes with a sort of souped up version of Mario Brothers, right? That even within it, like the original Mario Brothers, the our arcade style game, or like what would happen in Super Mario Brothers 3 if you're playing 2-player and like you land on the Mario or the Luigi spot. But anyway, so that's in that game. It's in all of the Super Mario Advance games, and it's in the Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. That it is just like another that all of these games include this little mini game, side game, whatever, which is a 2-player thing. And I was just thinking about how cool that was. That at the time, like now, that would just be like a free downloadable game for like everyone to play. But at the time, Nintendo was just like, let's put it on as many games as possible that we think people are going to buy, and then they can play these multiplayer games together, even if they don't have the same base game.
It worked cross?
Yeah.
Oh, that is cool.
So you could be playing on Superstar Saga, I could be playing on Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Brothers 3, and we could be playing the Mario Brothers co-op or competitive or whatever it is together.
That's cool.
Yeah, just a weird what a strange little slice of Nintendo past the Advance series is. And I wonder if we're ever going to get something like that. I don't even know what I'm asking for, but like
right, where they're like oh, we're for the Switch 2, we're going to in some ways faithfully recreate the original game, but then also we're going to add things to show off the capabilities of the hardware,
which is kind of
weird.
I mean, that's kind of Kirby and the Forgotten Land Starcross World.
I guess it is in its own
way. It's a
way,
little bit the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, which I guess we were talking about with the naming convention thing the other week. But anyway, very strange and cool. All right, Mark, let's get into the new releases.
Okay, so first things first, Killer Instinct Gold was added to Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack last week. This is another Rare developed game, right?
Yes, correct. And is sort of a port of the arcade game.
Oh, do you know what? I have to ask you, did you end up picking up Capcom Fighting Collection 2?
Oh, yes. I have also been playing that.
Oh, okay.
I neglected to mention it because I had so much to say about Super Mario Advance. Should we go back?
Yeah, let's go back.
Okay, all right. Sorry, let's go back to what we've been playing this week.
Because we, of course, change rooms when we're...
Right,
yeah.
Yes, and close.
And close. That's why we need the transition music.
Yeah, it gives us just enough time. Yes, I've been playing Capcom Fighting Collection 2 as well. Obviously, the first thing I did was like Power Stone. I need to play me some Power Stone. which it's a slightly different version of Power Stone, I believe, than the Dreamcast version. I think it's based on like the arcade version. So like some of the sound clips are just like a little bit different, and the difficulty curve is also different. I was able to get to the final boss, without continuing, and then the final boss destroyed me. Like didn't even come close.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And that is not how I remember the Dreamcast game. But so I played a fair amount of Power Stone. I played some of Project Justice, which is the like 3D sequel to Rival Schools. So like that was kind of cool, kind of fun. And then the first of so there are two Capcom versus SNK games in there, and the first one of those is really cool and has that kind of like Marvel versus Capcom sloppiness to it, where you're just like, oh, I think this character in this move is like absurdly overpowered. But like, I don't know, it's just kind of chaotic fun. So I was really enjoying that, and the music in the collection is really good. And then there's a Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, which is like the last like arcade version of Street Fighter Alpha that they made. Which is just so full of characters that I don't normally get to play as, because I've never been a big Street Fighter Alpha guy. I was really enjoying that. I don't know. I'm really happy with the collection, and moreover, I'm just excited to now have all 4 of these Capcom fighting collections: the Marvel one, the 2 just like generic fighting collection ones, and the Street Fighter collection, which is like any of the games that I have sort of like fantasized in my head about like going to an arcade and finding, I now have at home.
Yeah, that is cool. Do you play with your Pro controller when you play on Switch? Is that how
Yes. Yeah, I don't have like a fight stick for the Switch. So yeah, I've just been playing them using a controller. And some of them are like actually based on 4-button layouts instead of the 6-button layouts. Like the Street Fighter and Darkstalkers games are always 6-button, but some of these other ones are based on 4-button, which is great. And I learned how to play Street Fighter really, like Street Fighter 2 really, on a Super NES controller. So I am very comfortable with using the shoulder buttons for a strong punch and strong kick. So it's not that weird. But yes, I've been enjoying it a lot. Thank you for asking, Mark. I wouldn't obviously forgot that I have been doing that. You want to play sometime?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Good. We will do that. Maybe I'll bring it to trivia tomorrow.
Oh, that's a fun idea.
That might be fun. Okay. All right. Now that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Okay, Killer Instinct Gold, blah blah blah. I have never played this game before. Does it mean anything to you?
I mean, it means something to me, but I've never really been a fan of the Killer Instinct games. They're all a little too like prescribed combo based, where like there are combos, but the developers know what all the combos are, and there's no like invention of combos. It's just like you do this punch and then this kick, and then you duck, and you do this punch and then this super move. And it's just not that fun. I also feel like this is a pretty poor arcade port. They were using like really sophisticated boards for this thing when it originally came out, and the Nintendo 64 version of it does not look good, does not feel good.
Do you know, is Killer Instinct, like the arcade game, was that developed by Rare or just
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Yes, it was. And just like there was a Killer Instinct game probably 10 years ago now, released on Xbox,
right?
That is developed by Modern Rare, which my understanding is holding pretty high esteem, or it like is a canon fighting game. But I just don't think any of the classics really hold up there. The thing that this really says to me is like Nintendo is like, oh, we still have all these like rare jewels that we can give out, just not Donkey Kong 64, just not Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I don't know. Maybe they are. I mean, Diddy Kong Racing, I guess I'm not that surprised. Maybe that will wait for, like if they ever do Nintendo DS on NSO.
Oh, I hope not. I hope it's I mean, both versions are probably bad. Like ultimately, that we need like a remake of the remake. But yeah, I'd rather it be the Nintendo 64 version.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like with any of the Rare stuff, I definitely would never say never.
Right.
That it's not going to come. Donkey Kong feels like an interesting omission to me.
Donkey Kong 64?
Yeah. But yeah, I also assume that will eventually come.
I assume that too, but I'm just kind of like, do you like time that release to Bonanza or away from Bonanza?
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
I do kind of find it hard to believe that someone would be like, oh, well, I've got Donkey Kong 64. I don't need to buy Bonanza. It's going to stop me from doing this.
Yeah, especially because there'll be such different versions of Donkey Kong.
Yes.
And then the Nintendo Music app was updated yesterday with the dulcet tones of Kid Icarus for the NES. Yeah, this is music that I is not retained in my head at all.
Oh, well, obviously it left an impression on me as I just sang a little bit of it.
Yeah.
No, I like the Kid Icarus music just fine. It's always a little bit weird to get an NES game because
it's so slight.
It's so slight, yes. And coming out your phone, like it can just sound like kind of tinny and weird. So they keep updating it.
And then on Wednesday, May 21st, Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time is released on Switch. This is the level 5 game that has been long in the making.
And is not a Famicom Detective Club game, despite the subtitle.
And then also on Wednesday, Rift of the Necrodancer, the Pizza Tower Music Pack DLC is released.
Yeah, just pointing out a cool little synergy between indie developers that the Rift of the Necrodancer people, in addition to getting themselves crossed over with The Legend of Zelda, also have Pizza Tower music in their game now.
And then on Thursday, May 22nd, Cookie Clicker is coming to Switch and other consoles as well. So this is a kind of like and I think people say this in a very loving way, like a time waster game that a single person developed back in 2013 and put on the web, and then at some point has been ported to Steam and now is being ported to consoles. But the idea, at least in the beginning, is like you are just clicking a cookie. And by clicking, like a chocolate chip cookie, and by clicking that cookie, you earn things like grandmas and kitchen equipment and things like that help you create more cookies. And then like you're creating this like cookie building empire, I think, is my understanding. But it's just like a casual game that has just persisted for, over a decade now. So
you describing Cookie Clicker felt like we were coming up with units for the book in NCS Arcade.
No, yeah, for sure.
At the end of every episode of NCS Arcade, we rate the game that we just played on 5 different questions, and we have to come up with a unit that is relevant to that game. And you just now saying like this many grandmas, like I think we got to find a game that we rate on a scale of 1 to 5 grandmas. All right, Mark. So those are the new releases. Let's close this segment out. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I'll talk about something that...
Oh, that was...
fell apart at the end.
That was a really good effort, though.
Thank you.
To do it without taking a breath.
Mark, today I believe you have prepared, or at least you are prepared to administer, a movie tagline guessing game.
Yes, that's right. So I think what we're going to do is in the 4 minutes and 33 seconds, we're going to see how many. I'm using, there's a movietaglinegame.com.
Great, love it.
And let's just see how many that we can get correct.
What do we get? Just the tagline?
So it is a poster, so I'll show you, like Almost Famous is this example. And then there are like 5 ones.
We have to guess the tagline?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was going to be the opposite. But okay, great.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay. So Almost Famous. Experience it, enjoy it. Don't just don't fall for it. Up there with the best of the best. Prepare for a taste of adventure. The fellowship is broken. The power of darkness grows.
That's not right.
And justice is always darkest before the dawn.
Okay, not that one either. What do you think?
Maybe experience it, enjoy it, just don't fall for it?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, we were right.
Whew.
Okay. E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Right.
Okay, it's definitely not this first one. The path of Francesca Johnson's future seems destined due to the unexpected fork in the road.
Some of these.
Who in the name of God is getting away with murder?
No.
He is afraid he is alone. He is 3 million light years from home.
That's right.
Yeah,
yes.
that's right. Okay.
He's afraid, period. He's alone, period. He's 3 million. Not he's afraid he's alone. Sorry, everyone. I'm afraid I'm alone. My wife couldn't make it. I know I RSVP'd +1.
Notting Hill. Can the most famous film star in the world fall for the man on the street? The second one, if these two can learn to stand each other, the bad guys don't stand a chance.
So it's the first one.
I think it's the first one. Have you ever seen Notting Hill? I've never seen it.
It's one of those movies that I've seen parts of,
The King of Comedy. The most sensational sound you'll ever hear. No. The most sensational sound you'll ever see.
Soundsational?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
No. The most, I'm sure I misspoke.
Yes.
The most sensational sound you'll ever see.
Okay.
It's not the parade from Disneyland from like 15 years ago or something. The night he came home.
No.
And it's No Laughing Matter.
It's No Laughing Matter.
Yeah, I think you're right. Rebel Without a Cause. Prepare to be blown out of the water. No. How do you get the man who has everything? No. The Bride is Back for the final cut. No. The Bad Boy from A Good Family.
The Bad Boy from
yes,
great.
Yeah, good for us. Dancer in the Dark. Are you still in the mood for love? No. Is it a game or is it real? No. Love is a Force of Nature. No. You don't need eyes to see.
So I would say you don't need eyes to see, but let's go back to the beginning. What was the first one?
Are you still in the mood for love?
Okay. What do you think that could be?
What movie is that one for?
Like Basic Instinct or Are You Still in the Mood for Love?
Could it be a sequel to something?
Oh yeah, it really could be.
Let's look up and see. Are you still in the mood? Are you still in the
mood for love?
Let's see what movie that is for. If my computer will cooperate. Okay, here we go. Mm-hmm. We're getting there. I don't know.
We're not quite sure. Are you still in the mood for love?
Putting in quotes.
Right, great.
That'll help, because what it pulled up was the Wong Kar-wai film In the Mood for Love, but I don't think that that's the tagline for it, although I suppose it could be. It's for 2046. Wong Kar-wai's another film by Wong Kar-wai.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Perhaps like a spiritual sequel?
Possibly. I haven't seen that one.
What is the second tagline that it offered us?
You don't need eyes to see. That's what we... Oh,
that's
wait,
what we
for
chose.
Dancer in the Dark?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, Love is a Force of Nature, or You Don't Need Eyes to See.
I was just... so I don't know. I think it's You Don't Need Eyes to See.
That is right.
Okay, great. So the movie tagline game, easy?
We got 6 right.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Out of 6 that we tried.
yeah, exactly.
All right. We were accompanied today by the Berliner Philharmoniker. Mark, let's get into the news.
Hey, let's start.
Should we see Notting Hill? Is that like a movie that like we didn't see because like we were boys at that age when it came out, and we were like, that's a girl movie? Is that why we haven't seen Notting Hill?
I mean, probably. I mean, yeah, but I was probably, I don't know how old I was when that movie came out,
right?
But
sound off in the Discord. We want to know. Should
we see Notting Hill?
Should we see Notting Hill?
Yeah. Is that a cultural blind spot for us that we should fill in? Let's talk about My Nintendo Store pre-orders in North America. So last week we talked about the first wave of emails were sent last Thursday or 2 Thursday and Fridays ago.
Yeah, wow.
And you were able to secure your pre-order through
Yes,
Nintendo.
I was.
Through that.
As was friend of the show, Connor McCabe.
And then on last week's news episode, which we recorded on Monday night, we speculated when will they start another wave.
Right.
And
seemingly some of it has happened?
Yeah, seemingly they did on, again, Thursday and Friday last week.
Right.
And then...
which sort of feeds into my theory that they want to make sure you've got like at least some amount of weekend.
Right. And
for the 72 hours that they give you from the time of the invitation going out.
And interesting about those is that the GameCube controller did sell out when it went on sale last Tuesday. It wasn't like immediate. Like it sold out. It was live for a few hours and then sold out. But people who got their Switch 2 invites last Thursday and Friday, they also could not pre-order the GameCube controller.
Sure, the GameCube controllers,
it was like sold out.
As of right now, are all spoken for.
Yes, and I just wasn't sure if like, did they reserve some for people who...
How would you really game that out?
Totally. So they did not.
Right.
But then also over the weekend, Nintendo sent out emails to people who
I think it was on Friday,
oh,
right?
on Friday, possibly, yeah. They sent out another batch of emails, but these emails were different. They were like emails saying, "Hey, you are in the queue. We want you to
Yes.
know you're in the queue,
And
but
that we will send you an invitation to buy this thing at some point. No, we can't tell you when that is going to be, but stay tuned.
but
Here's what the email looks like. Here's what the email is called. So, like, if you think you've missed it or, whatever, like, just putting your mind at ease, here's what it is. It will come to you at some point.
And I know there are people in our Discord who had not had an opportunity yet,
Right.
but I think everybody who hadn't received one, especially if you met the criteria for that initial batch, were like, what's the deal? Am I
Right.
going, and
Right.
so I do think it was nice that they sent out those emails just as kind of like a peace of mind thing. Like you
Right.
can expect to get one
Yes.
even if it's not now. So that way people don't have to worry like, oh, am I not on the list? Like, did something happen?
Right. Well, so this was my perspective on it too. But then my buddy Taylor, who had pre-ordered the same way and got this email, was furious to get this email. That he was like, "There's no acknowledgement here that they've like totally underestimated the demand for this thing. There's no apology. How could they not know when they're going to have units available for us to buy? That's a lie." And was just kind of like, "What's going on? This is an insufficient."
Hmm.
Like email addressing this thing. And I was like, I kind of couldn't wrap my head around that perspective because it's like, well, they're trying another avenue of getting this thing to you. And they've said you will be able to pre order it. You just don't know when. And maybe it'll be after the Switch even comes out. So, like, that is frustrating.
Yeah, I can appreciate that perspective.
And I'm also like, I don't need a company to apologize to me because, like, that doesn't mean anything, right? Company doesn't have a conscience. That's part of what makes it a company. Um, but yeah, I just like, I was very much of the opinion, like, oh, this is a nice thing. I'm glad they sent out an email being like, we haven't forgotten about you. You're still on the list. But it was not met that way by my friend. And I think other people are in that same boat of being like kind of frustrated by the lack of information in this email.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the pre-order situation is super frustrating.
Yes, but and is always right.
Yeah.
Like it was frustrating for the Switch One. It was frustrating for. It's always frustrating, right?
One thing that's interesting because I don't believe we had any confirmation of this beforehand, but on the topic of like the launch and pre-orders and everything for the Switch 2, both Best Buy and GameStop have said that they'll have some like Switch 2s available on launch day for people who didn't pre-order.
Right. So
Limited inventory.
Right. But while you are considering then if the action you're going to try to take to get a GameStop or Best Buy non-pre-ordered Nintendo Switch 2 on launch day, the stores that are doing like midnight launches, as it were, are tied to a 12:01 Eastern timeline. So if you are in a different time zone, that Best Buy, that GameStop, if they're doing a midnight launch, may be opening at a time that isn't midnight.
Well, GameStop for sure on their website is confirmed that it. I have the exact.
Yeah.
They say that pickups start at 12 a.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. So that's GameStop
Right.
for sure. And everything on Best Buy's website is, like you said, about like 12:01 Eastern. So assuming that 9:01
Right.
Pacific, which is a change from the Switch launch because we both waited until midnight
That's right.
to pick up our Switch. But I also wonder if, and I don't have an answer to this, but I wonder if the 9 p.m. or like 12:01, the midnight launch parties will be just for pickup, or if they will also have like if you can purchase
great
at the
question.
time as well.
Right.
Like I don't know what exactly their plan is, but just more questions, more confusion.
Yeah, I
around
mean,
the whole thing.
my guess would be that they'll sell out of their. I mean, I don't know. That's my guess. That's my uneducated guess that they will sell their
So
stock.
if you just like stood in line,
yeah,
and
they'll probably sort people into like who has pre-orders, who doesn't, right? And maybe even at that time they would say like, oh yeah, if you're because there'll be someone there to manage line at some point, right? Or at least
I would think
talk
so.
to people. Yeah.
Yeah.
That if you don't have a pre-order and that means that you're not going to get anything that night, that they would send you away then. And you
Mm-hmm.
could set your alarm mode to come back in the morning. But yeah, it's all of the pre-order like drama and like all of what makes it hard is also like part of what makes it kind of fun, or at least like adds a little bit of romance to the thing of like, okay, so I can just like put in more time and like wait in a line, in a weird line or something, um even if I couldn't manage to get it somewhere else. Of course, I'm saying this speaking from the position of having a pre-order, so I can romanticize other people's struggles all I want. You know what I mean? Like, oh, how romantic it would be to be an astronaut. I don't have to do that.
Right. Right.
So yeah. Again, to your point, it does feel like it's still all question marks.
Speaking of getting hands on hardware, a
Mhm.
couple of weeks ago on the show, we casually just assumed that news outlets had Nintendo Switch 2 review units in their hands.
Right, and part of that is spurred along by the Switch firmware update 20.0.0, which included the Switch 1 to Switch 2 transfer like program thing.
But it was reported this week that like news outlets are getting them basically on launch day for the same as everybody else. Apparently, there's a significant day one patch that Nintendo is holding like review units for.
Yeah.
But yeah, like IGN published an article saying we're not going to get ours until launch day,
Right.
and we'll get coverage up as fast as we can. But basically, we'll be with everybody else.
Yeah. How do you feel about this?
Well, I mean, again, from my like selfish perspective, it doesn't make any difference because I'm gonna buy one. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yes, right.
Like, so the hardware impressions or like game reviews for Mario Kart World don't make any difference to me personally. I feel like who really gets disadvantaged by it, other than the news outlets, obviously, is third parties who
Yeah,
aren't
sure.
going to be able to get like reviews for like the Switch 2 version of Cyberpunk or whatever,
Right.
like out on time. That feels like a huge disadvantage. I mean, unless do you know what I mean?
Unless
Like,
they're coming out bad.
unless
Right.
they're coming out bad.
Well, so that's the thing that like gives me pause a little bit, where I'm just like, some of what the Switch 2 is promising on a technical level is like more impressive than what I was expecting, right? The fact that they're saying that Metroid Prime 4, Mark almost spilled, it was almost a disaster, but we're okay. The fact that Metroid Prime 4 can run at 120 frames per second, the fact that Cyberpunk 2077 exists on this thing at all, I'm like, okay, wow, like this thing is going to be a powerful machine. And do we like, we've not, if it's not been seen or demonstrated outside of the controlled environment of the whatever they are, the playtest things, what are they actually called, the Nintendo Switch 2 experience or something?
Yeah. Basically the demos that
Yeah.
people could get lotteries for.
That it's
Get
just
lotteries for that people could sign up.
right.
Yeah.
We're stumbling over our words here, but you know the thing we're talking about.
Right.
Where people they've not had a chance to play these things in their homes, and my understanding is that during the Switch 2 experiences, that some things were like docked experiences, some things were handheld, and it was just like everything's very prescribed. You have someone there hanging out with you to like talk you through everything, and that has to color your experience of the thing. When you're home, when you're sitting in bed playing Street Fighter 6 on your Switch at 2:00 in the morning, like, what is that experience going to be like? And we won't know that until launch day and you're actually doing it.
Yeah, pure speculation on my part. I'm assuming that it's like related to like game chat and that sort of stuff.
Mm.
That like I don't imagine that the firmware update will really affect like game performance that
That's
much.
a good point.
But maybe like game performance with game chat, because that seems like you're running Cyberpunk and you're also like streaming with your friends. Like
Right.
I could see how that's taxing on the system, and so maybe that's the piece of it that is coming in hot. I obviously don't know, but
It just makes me like a little bit nervous. Like I'm excited basically about every other part of the Switch 2 launch. I'm excited to play Mario Kart World. I'm like kind of excited to just like jump in and play Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. Like I'm gonna just play one of those games again. I had mentioned Street Fighter 6. I've been spending a little time in Street Fighter 6 as well on PS5, but I'm gonna like really play it on anyway. I'm excited for the thing.
Yes.
And this is like this is the first time that I've hit like a little hitch of like, hey, do we know that it can do what they say it can
it's
do?
definitely a hitch. It would be great if, there were already previews of the Switch 2 hardware coming out, talking about it and everything. So yeah, it's definitely less than ideal for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're what now, like 16 days away from the release?
Yeah.
2 weeks and 2 days?
Yeah. Crazy, right?
Crazy.
After skipping last year, Nintendo will be present at Gamescom 2025, which is at the end of August in Germany. Nintendo used to attend regularly, but has only, I think, shown up once since
Since
2019.
COVID,
Yeah. So they were at 2019, and then they were at the 2023 show, which you may remember because coming out of Gamescom 2023, there were reports that Nintendo had shown off what is now the Switch 2 there, supposedly running some like Enter the Matrix or whatever it was called demo. Do you remember that?
Right. Yeah, it wasn't Enter the Matrix. It was what was the name of that? There was like an experience that was sort of timed to the Matrix Resurrections. Which yeah.
Oh yeah, was Enter the Matrix like the PS
Enter the Matrix was the PS2
game?
GameCube
Yeah.
game, which I loved. Thought it was very good.
Yeah, they came out like with Matrix Reloaded or
Yep,
whatever.
that's right. You can play as
Yeah.
either Ghost or Niobe,
Okay.
and they both do basically the same thing, but it's a very cool game. Although there's either character that you play as, you still have to like do that same like cake scene with the Merovingian where he like gives a woman the cake that gives her an orgasm. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
That happens in Reloaded. Very strange thing to be so obsessed with that it also appears in the video game.
And that is not the demo.
That is not the demo
that was reported.
I don't think Niobe's in that demo at all.
But yeah, so and then Nintendo was like, we didn't show off anything at Gamescom, like blah blah blah. Also, so funny. I was going back and looking at those reports, making sure I remembered it correctly, which obviously I didn't because I can't remember the name of the game. But at the time, all the write-ups were like, the Switch successor, which is planned for a spring 2024 release. Doesn't that just seem so crazy now? Looking back on it,
I mean, I thought it was crazy then.
You're right.
I've been on the record.
You're right for a long time. And
we
all laughed at you.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it makes sense to me that Nintendo.
You guys were laughing at me.
I was laughing at you. Oh, so foolish you seemed. 2025. That's ridiculous. But it makes sense to me that Nintendo would return to Gamescom in 2025, and
yes,
because they have a Switch 2 to promote.
They do have a Switch 2 to promote. Do you think? I mean, we have a shape of Nintendo's year to the extent that June through December constitutes a year. Do you think we're gonna get like any more like big reveals or announcements coming out of Gamescom, or do you think they'll probably like hit that during like Summer Games Fest?
I think it's gonna. My personal opinion is that we're just gonna be back to the more regular Nintendo, like direct schedule, and that Gamescom will just be an opportunity for people to get their hands on a Switch 2 and not necessarily tied to any big announcements.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, I just feel like we are we kind of just know what they've got, right?
Right. But I mean, I think that we will hear about early 2026 for Switch 2 before the summer is over with. Because we don't really know anything for 2026 right now for Switch 2.
Right. Yes, we know 2 Switch games.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I think we'll get more color on what's coming to the Switch this year, and then I think we'll get some stuff for Switch 2 that rolls into next year.
So the Matrix fandom wiki does not have the demo that we're talking about listed there.
But it's like a recent thing, right?
Right. Well, and I think maybe the problem is I'm looking for like Matrix video games. But it's really like a Matrix tech experience, right? Experience. The Matrix Awakens, is that it?
Oh, that could be.
Yes. That's it. It's the Matrix Awakens and Unreal 5 experience.
Yes.
There we go.
From September 7th, 2023, VGC reports Switch 2 was demoed with the Matrix Awakens tech demo. Okay, yes, that's what it was.
Is a 2021 open world video game technology demonstration developed by Epic Games using Unreal 5. Do we need to get our hands on this thing? Do I need to get my
Sound
hands
out
on
in the
this thing?
Discord. Should we watch Notting Hill and then follow it up with the Matrix Awakens? Let us know.
Inside you, there are two wolves.
The name of the Super Mario Brothers movie sequel has possibly been prematurely announced as Super Mario World.
Okay, so if that is true, or let's talk about why it might be.
Okay, yeah. So last week was upfront week for media companies in the US. And this is where companies like Disney, Netflix, and NBC Universal hold presentations for the advertising industry, basically doing a sales pitch as to why those advertisers should spend their ad dollars on, like Peacock. And as part of NBC Universal's pitch, they released a press release that it included all these different sections about why Peacock is going to be great this upcoming year. We're doing exciting stuff with Peacock.
And honestly, their lineup in a lot of ways, it does seem like they've got some wrecking balls, right?
Right. So one of the sections in this press release was here are the movies that will stream exclusively on Peacock after they're released in theaters. And that list initially included movies like Wicked for Good, Jurassic World. I think that could be right. I don't know. And then, but I think it's whatever that new Jurassic.
Yeah, the Scarlett Johansson one. Yeah. By the way, refuse to learn the subtitles of the new ones.
I know them, but we don't have to go over it. We don't have to go over it now.
Dominion and Fallen Kingdom are 3 and 2 respectively. But what's the?
I don't know what the new one is.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah, and then Super Mario World.
Yes. Which all of those movies have the potential to be billion-dollar movies.
But Super Mario World was quickly scrubbed from that list.
They took it away
after attention was brought to it.
Right.
So,
Nintendo's shopping around for a new studio to
that's
make these
right.
movies.
Oh, yeah, they were probably so mad. It makes sense given what they tease at the end of the Super Mario Brothers movie with
I think enough time has passed.
With Yoshi, the Yoshi egg and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But also we're close to a year out from that movie releasing, so maybe the title will change, but it's a logical title, I guess.
Right. It's Super Mario Brothers Brave New or Super Mario. I messed it up. Super Mario Brave New World was what I was going for the Captain America joke. So the name of the first movie, right, the one that came out a couple years ago, was the Super Mario Brothers movie. Which is also what the movie from 1993 was called, right?
I think that one was just called Super Mario Bros.
I think that movie is called the Super Mario. I think they're both called the Super Mario Brothers movie.
I don't think so, and I think it's they.
That's why?
I think yes, exactly, because that would be insane to have them be named exactly the same thing.
So I that's what I've been carrying around in my brain for the last
Yeah, the one from the 90s is just called Super Mario Bros.
Okay, great. I will accept that. Okay, then fine. Then I no longer am. I no longer have a take. Yeah, I mean, so it's such a Nintendo thing to call the movie the whatever movie.
It is weird to me that. And this doesn't make any sense. I fully acknowledge it up front.
Yes.
It's just my gut instinct that it is weird to me that Nintendo would name the movie and the game the same thing without any modifiers. The Super Mario World movie or something dumb like that.
Right.
To differentiate it from the game with the same title.
Yeah, that feels strange, but there's also a part where I'm especially when world is such a specific, again, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, what that language means when Nintendo names stuff. What is a world? What does world signify? But that is not the brand that's recognizable. The brand is Super Mario, right? So truly, why not just the Super Mario Brothers movie 2?
Yeah. And maybe that is what it'll end up being.
Maybe that is what it'll end up being. Yeah. Unless they're going really hard into it's like World and it's like Dinosaur Land and all that kind of stuff. But then like, do they always just name the movie like exactly the game?
That would just be so weird.
Does the Legend of Zelda movie have like a weird subtitle that is like feels like a Zelda subtitle? Or
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Or is it just wouldn't it feel cheap for the Zelda movie to just be called The Legend of Zelda movie?
Yeah, so I think that is wrong and bad, and they can't do that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, who knows? Maybe they will. But yeah, I think the Zelda movie you have to like treat with more reverence.
And I think you could just call it The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, possibly. I don't like that though. I think it needs to be The Legend of Zelda : something else.
Yeah.
Triforce Heroes, the movie.
That would be incredible. That's right. It takes place in Hytopia, and it's all about.
That's right.
It's a world obsessed with fashion. It's what everybo's been wanting from a Zelda movie.
It'd be good.
I would dig it.
The outfits, come on.
Some Switch 2 news briefs.
Sorry, I just
go
want
ahead,
to go back to that for a second.
Yeah, you do have a take.
Thank you. Well, yeah. I just on the Zelda movie title front. I am going to put in my chips now that it is going to go into the Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild naming convention. It'll be something of the something.
Oh,
I think they know where their bread is buttered. Those are the games that made Zelda a mega hit. I think the movie will be named like that.
Do you think there's any possibility that it's like a direct adaptation? Maybe not direct because there's not that much there in most of the
but
Zelda
they
stories.
like take a name.
But do you think it's like, or do you think it could be like, yeah, we're basically just doing Ocarina of Time?
Yeah,
there's gonna be like a Deku tree. There's gonna be this owl that's talking at you.
Oh, I mean, there's 100% a Deku tree.
Yeah.
Like for sure, there'll be a Deku tree.
Yeah,
but I also think there will be Gorons and Zora and
Koroks
probably. Like I think the iconography of the Switch games is really going to drive.
No, you're right. Like
thing.
in my mind, Ocarina of Time is still kind of like this. It is like a tentpole for Zelda.
Yes,
but for sure, I think you're absolutely right that like this will be more based around the modern Zelda games.
I think it has to be, and therefore will be named as such. Honestly, I could see them just calling it like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. But I don't like that.
Well, I also don't think it'll be like a direct adaptation of
I don't
the
either.
story. But also, is Super Mario World going to be a direct adaptation of the game?
Right.
Probably not.
And what does that even mean?
Yeah. Nothing good if it's anything like the first movie. So, are we ready for Switch 2
Yes,
news
I'm
briefs?
sorry to
No, you're
pull
fine.
you back.
No, you're fine.
We're doing a lot of pushing up on my steering wheel right
now. Game key cards, which you'll remember act like physical game cards in that you can share or resell them, but there's no actual game on it. It requires you to download the entire game before you can play it.
And have the card inserted while you are playing it.
Yes, and these have come under scrutiny recently because it's so far anyways, it seems like most third parties are opting to use game key cards if they're not just having you do like code in a box. And
all game key cards are clearly labeled as well.
Yes, that's right. But in response to a question if Nintendo planned to use these game key cards for their own games, Nintendo UK released a statement saying, quote, "We currently have no plans to use game key cards for Nintendo developed titles." The currently have no plans is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Sure.
But I do believe it. I think Nintendo will release games on card. And it matches what Nintendo of America president Doug Bowser told IGN that the game key cards were, quote, "a way that our publishing partners are able to bring more content onto the platform." So that also, like follows.
Right. Well, and we talked about how the possibly one of the hangups is that they're only offering the 128
64 gigabyte.
The 64 gigabyte. That's right. You're right. The 64 gigabyte cartridge, whereas on Switch 1 that they were able to offer 8 and 16 megabyte. And the I had done a little reading between when we talked about that last and now, and it turns out that that is just not a size of card they make in the micro XD format or micro X, whatever, express format.
Oh.
It's not that Nintendo necessarily, who knows,
Wait, so game cards are
are also that. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Or that they use the same technology for like a faster like read speed of the cartridge. That this isn't necessarily Nintendo putting a weird restriction on you can't get smaller carts for smaller games, just that these smaller carts physically don't exist.
Oh, that's interesting.
And if Nintendo were to be like, hey, manufacturers of these things, make them, that would be a specialty product and would probably be more expensive than the bigger carts.
Yeah, that's interesting. Also, it seems like from look, one thing that the Nintendo Today app has been good for is showing off like the extreme minutia
Yeah,
of,
great point.
like the Switch 2 and the accessories and
Mhm.
everything. And so they
That AC adapter.
that sweet
Show me those
HDMI
prongs.
cable. But they were showing off the carrying case,
Yes.
and they were putting like Switch 2 game carts in there, and maybe it was that video or something else. Anyways, there was like a Nintendo Switch game card and a Nintendo Switch 2 game card, and other than the color, they're like identical size. It's not like the 3DS, which
Right.
had like a little like nub. So I wonder what happens if you put a Switch 2 game card into a Switch 1. Like, will it just be like, this isn't compatible? I mean, probably. It's obviously not gonna,
Probably, yeah.
like do anything. It's an interesting choice to me that they didn't
Right,
differentiate
to make it like
someplace
physically
else.
different. Yeah. But what's nice about them all being the same size is that like if you have this case that you're describing or like any other game storage solution that you can just keep using that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Doug Bowser also told IGN that Nintendo of America believes that they'll have enough stock to meet demand through the holidays. Quote, as we look at our plans here in the US, we do believe we'll have production and supply that will allow us to meet consumer demand. We know there's been strong positive reaction to Nintendo Switch 2 early on, and we've seen that through our pre-orders, but we do have a plan to have a continuous flow of product that'll be available through the holidays.
Yeah, I mean, good luck here, guys. It's I hope he's right, and I hope that by October, November, that everyone who has wanted one or wanted to pick up an extra one for gifts or whatever is able to do so. But it's and maybe they will, right? Like by the time the second Christmas with the Wii came around, you could buy a Wii pretty much no problem, right? And this is kind of just that same thing on like a slightly collapsed time frame, and like sort of the issue with doing console launches in November, where it's like you got one shot at the holiday rush and that's it. This, you were going to knock out a ton of people during the summer, so that when it comes time for the holiday rush, maybe the market has had some time to recover and actually get units in stores. And I hope that's the case.
Yeah, me too. Another little like news brief. Game chat supports both voice to text and text to speech.
Oh, fun. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I think this is another thing that showed up on Nintendo Today. But
An app that I dutifully use every day.
So I guess this also confirms that you can connect Bluetooth keyboards to Switch 2. I don't think they've officially said that, but you can do that on the Switch.
Oh, yeah.
And so I assume that you will be able to do it on the Switch 2 as well. Otherwise, how would you do text to speech in a realistic way?
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah,
but that's cool.
That's great.
That's great.
I like that a lot.
A couple of outlets are reporting a rumor that Red Dead Redemption 2 is headed to Switch 2.
Cool.
These rumors.
Did we talk about this the other week?
We when we were talking about GTA 6,
Yeah.
you brought it up as like, do you think that Red Dead Redemption 2 will come to Switch 2? And seemingly yes, because the original Red Dead Redemption is available on Switch. It's one of the games that Rockstar released for that system. These rumors of RDR2 coming to Switch 2 follow positive comments by Take-Two CEO about the Switch 2 and Nintendo in general.
Yeah, well, and part of the reason we were talking about Grand Theft Auto 6 is that it was obviously delayed until May next year, May 26, 2026. So yeah, I mean, maybe they just like get themselves an extra little like beat where they're able to sell a product later this year that's RDR2 on Switch 2.
Also, we got some like concrete details of free updates for Nintendo Switch games. on Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah.
So,
Now these are not like Nintendo Switch 2 editions.
they're not
of
Nintendo Switch
games.
2 editions, and they are also not like the performance enhancements that seemingly every game
Right, just sort of
or most
passively
games,
gets.
will passively get. These seem to be like Nintendo specifically did work on these
Yes.
for these improvements, and they're all launching on. All of these are rolling out on June 5th with the system launch. I'm not going to go through all of them. I feel like like Arms is on this list. Big Brain Academy, Brain versus Brain, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Clubhouse.
Finally getting HDR support.
That's right. Clubhouse Games, 51 Worldwide Classics, like all this kind of stuff. It details the game share support. But
I want to call out that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are expressly getting improved, smoother movement and frame rate, which is cool and like a big like knock against that game in general. It doesn't say that like anything is improved for like textures or anything like that.
Doesn't it say visuals?
Yeah.
Visuals are optimized for Nintendo Switch 2, so I don't know what that means. But you're
Yeah.
right, because like for Bowser's Fury, they specifically call out optimized for the Nintendo Switch 2 display and high resolution TVs for improved image quality, which is different from what they. Oh no, maybe it's identical.
No, that's identical. Yeah. So like yeah, the display for high resolution TVs and improved image quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what that means. Yeah.
One thing though, it's great that all these games are getting updates. The one thing I want to call out is that New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is not getting any game share capabilities.
Didn't they say it was going to?
No, I think they just said that it was getting like updates, which
Yeah,
it is.
okay,
It's
right.
getting like visuals that are optimized, blah 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 blah. But it's not getting game share. But
So-
Super Mario 3D World, Odyssey, and I think
Clubhouse Games and Captain Toad Treasure Tracker.
Yeah, they are.
And Brain versus Brain. Big Brain Academy, Brain versus Brain is also getting that.
And I'm sure that or I guess I'm not sure, but my assumption is that there's a technical reason they're not doing it for New Super Mario Bros. U, but it seems like a one that would make a lot of sense to have game share.
Yeah, well, in the reveal trailer, they said that they were starting with Clubhouse Games and other games would come later. And so whether these other games that we just mentioned, which were also teased at the time of the direct, whether those constitute all the games that are becoming part of game share, or if this is just like the opening salvo and we can expect more in the future, we don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I would not that's not something that I would actively be waiting on. When it happens, it'll happen. The other thing I wanted to call out is that the Zelda games, Echoes of Wisdom and Link's Awakening, do not boast any frame rate improvements. And when I brought this up on the Discord, it was pointed out to me that the games already target 60 FPS. They just have a hard time hitting that, especially when there's a lot of stuff on screen. And so just the better processing power of the Switch 2 should theoretically address that. But it's just it still seems strange to me that is not addressed in these notes.
Yeah. Well, maybe because they didn't have to do anything
right
to fix it. Presumably, we'll find out.
Yeah, but even still, it's do you want to tell me what do you want to tell me the work you did or what the result is?
Are you kidding? This is Nintendo. They don't want to tell you anything.
Wait, this is a great point. Play Echoes of Wisdom again.
Yeah.
You liked it before, or you didn't. Play it again.
The Nintendo San Francisco store opened over the weekend, and it looks like it has a merchandise mix more similar to the kind of stuff found in the stores in Japan. My understanding, I've never been to it, but is that the New York store has less fun. One of the things we've complained about before at Universal Studios at their Nintendo merchandise shops is that it's all really generic stuff.
Right.
And my takeaway my understanding from the New York store is that it's more in that vein versus what was so fun about the Nintendo stores in Japan is that they're hyper specific.
Yes.
And it sounds like the San Francisco store leans more that way versus the more general merchandise that is available at the New York store.
My understanding also that the San Francisco store at the moment has no Switch 2 stuff.
Oh.
Because like as far as they're concerned, like they're doing store launch, and then they will have to like morph into also we embrace all the new Switch 2 stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a very funny, like, we talked about this with like the opening of Epic Universe in Orlando, the Universal Park that's going to have Super Nintendo World in it, that like it's launching with like the old Donkey Kong design
Right.
as they're releasing a Donkey Kong game with a new Donkey Kong design. And it's just like funny that Nintendo has all these irons in the fire that are all like popping off at different times that like maybe should be affecting each other, communicating a little bit more, but they aren't.
Well, and they're also siloed. Like,
Yes.
think, when they were doing the Ask the Developers for Super Mario Wonder, it came up like, oh, is like these characters are so animated. Was it inspired by the work done on the movie? And they were like, we had no contact with the movie people.
Right.
You
We
know?
don't watch movies.
And I'm guessing the theme park stuff, they were probably started working on that, over
yeah.
like 7 years 8 years ago, like way
Right.
Who even knows when Bonanza became what it is, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's
totally.
just like
yeah.
all these different timelines. It is funny though to that version of Donkey Kong will always exist
Yes.
in Epic Universe.
And like further funny that like all within just a couple years, it's like reasserting the old Donkey Kong identity, having a movie with like a different Donkey Kong in it, and then this Bonanza with like yet a third Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of Donkey Kongs. On the game side, it seems like they're pretty committed to the new design.
It does, which brings up this final point. Nintendo has shown off a new render for Diddy Kong, confirming that he has gotten a slight design update. Yeah, but
Yes.
much less drastic than Donkey Kong's new look.
Yeah, he like Donkey Kong, he feels just like a little bit rounder, a little bit fluffier. He's got teeth.
Which I had never noticed that he didn't have teeth before, but
Now it seems weird, right?
that he didn't have teeth?
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's upsetting to me that he had no teeth. Also, this is the first time, because the renders show him like holding his cap,
Yes.
how long the bill of his baseball cap is.
Yeah, it's long. It's like you've seen The Sandlot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not another blind spot that we need to
I
add.
no,
to.
I've
Okay.
seen, yes.
To The Matrix. Oh,
Crickets.
Man, how did we forget it already? Not Notting Hill.
Not Notting Hill.
No, but Notting Hill is on the list of things
Oh,
that
yeah.
is a blind
The
spot.
Matrix Awakens.
The Matrix Awakens.
But I do not promise to commit this one to
No.
memory.
I will.
Just
I
don't
will.
care. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you can carry. Yeah.
Beaumont Kin.
Yeah.
All right.
February 27th.
Right.
Shinya Takahashi.
Great.
And now The Matrix Awakenings. Fine.
That's another one. Okay, but Diddy Kong. Oh yes. So the kid in The Sandlot has a baseball hat that is like his dad's or whatever, his stepdad's, that has a super long bill on it. And that's the first thing I think of when I see Diddy Kong and his big dumb red hat.
The other thing that, and I think this does follow what is in the Super Mario Brothers movie, but his hat doesn't have the Nintendo logo on it anymore.
Yes.
It has a pin to the side that is like the DK logo.
Which is fine.
It's fine. I like it. Is again another thing I hadn't thought about, but I liked that in the Donkey Kong universe, Nintendo was an entity. Like we saw Wrinkly Kong with a Nintendo
Right,
64.
yes.
Like
Mhm.
I liked that Nintendo existed in the continuity
Right.
of the Donkey Kong Country games, and I understand why they are removing that. But I liked when it was happening.
It was such a weird choice for Rare, who also put their own name like all over the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a weird set of choices. I will say, and just another thing, you mentioned the similarity to the movie design. The Diddy Kong and the Donkey Kong in the Super Mario Brothers movie, his shirt is so long, it like covers the bottom part of his body.
Yeah, like it is
Like it's a
Diddy Kong,
dress,
but it's
kind of.
not Diddy Kong.
Yeah.
It's like when I would wear my dad's like
Diddy Kong costume.
Diddy Kong costume. Just really reminded me of that.
But this shirt length is appropriate on the new
Yeah,
Diddy Kong design.
that's right.
Do you, Mark, feel insane when we start to like really digging into like these tiny design differences? I feel like we're members of the Sonic the Hedgehog fandom or something, being like these renders are a little bit different than they were before.
Well, I mean, somebody in our Discord posted a new Mario renders,
Sure,
right?
right.
Well, actually, it was just kind of like Nintendo characters because Donkey Kong was in the back there. But when you do compare them side to side, you're like, oh, this is nicer. Like, it just becomes so apparent that because you were talking about is Toad's height different? And it's like, yeah, like they reshaped his hat thing a little bit.
Right. It's a weird thing to have to consider that like every time these characters appear, like everything about them is intentional. And that when they appear the next time, people have to make choices either to make new choices or to keep making the old ones.
Yeah.
And it's just like what must go into that is perplexing, and to like obsess over it feels crazy.
Okay, and just imagine the discussions about
Right.
like the texture of Mario's overalls. Because I've got to be honest, I
Yes.
don't think they've really settled on one that I feel good about.
Okay. How about Wario's overalls?
Yeah, this also came up in the Discord
Mhm.
that in the new renders they seem sort of like rubbery.
Yeah, they do.
An interesting choice.
Like when you flick Wario's overalls, what do they sound like?
I don't know.
I did just ask that as though it were a normal question, and for that I apologize.
Probably best we call it here.
All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you are not in our Discord, obviously we've made reference to it a couple times throughout this episode. You could be influencing our references to what's happening over there if only you email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. I send you an invitation, you get in there, you chat with us. It's a good time. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thank you for listening.